Hello, bro. So my name is Lawrence. I'm an 18-year-old entrepreneur, and this winter I went from making $0, like literally for 3 years. I tried to run a business, made $0, and then in 3 months I got to 1K a month. And so in this video, I want to share with you how I made the hard things, like the work that you have to do within this content business, instinctual. Like literally, you imagine you're driving a car down the road, right? I made it so that, let's say a cat runs out and you swerve around the cat. I made work that instinctual because, when you're swerving around the cat, you don't really think about it, right? It just happens. That's how I made work. And that is going to set you apart from literally everybody else. It's going to get to the point where you can easily do it and you actually enjoy it and you do it better than everybody because you've built not even a habit. That doesn't even describe it well because it's way more than a habit. You built an instinct for work. And so basically my entire idea with this is that willpower is a joke. And so let's say you wake up every day and you try and do some work. You're like, you made your routine and it just says work. What is that work? Like, what work is it that you have to do? You need to figure out exactly what tasks it is that you need to do. Make a routine, a habit that will then come to an instinct to actually do that work. Because if you don't ingrain exactly what actions it is and how to do them, then it will be like, it will be impossible basically. And even though you're going to do what I say in this video, it's still going to be hard. Like everything new, every challenging work task, it is still a hard thing. So it is going to be hard when you're just starting out. But that's the thing. Humans seek out discomfort. It's like going to the gym for the first time. You're fucked the day after. Completely fucked, right? But then you go there 100 times and it's not as bad. It's way better. Still hard, but it's not as hard. Like you become used to it. So it will be hard at first, but that's what it takes if you actually want to make this work. And so the idea is basically that we take something that is new to you, then we make it into habit, and then we make it into one of your base instincts as a human. And this is really fucking overpowered once you get down to how it's going to work. And so the first thing we need to do is even figure out what the fuck is it that you need to do. Like, what even are the work tasks for you? And so let's say you probably want to do the same business as me, right? You want to make content and help people of some sort of way, right? Whether that be fitness, no fat, whatever the fuck, right? You want to do that. But what you first need to do is even figure out what are the tasks for me to hit my goal. So let's say you want to get to 2K a month, right? That would be pretty life-changing for you, right? Just the same way when I got from 0 to 1K a month back then, it was pretty life-changing for me because, I hadn't really made money online. And so the thing that you're going to do is obviously if you're trying to sell your coaching to people, then you're going to have to go on a sales call. Like, if you don't go on a sales call, it's pretty obvious, then you're not going to sell anything. Like, you can't sell shit without being on a sales call. I mean, you could do a VSL, but again, if you don't make a sales page, if you don't do the sales call, then you're never going to get a sale. But then how do you get on the sales call? Because, sales calls don't just like spawn out of it anywhere, right? So that could be content, like, I'm recording a video right now, or it could be outreach. So literally you going to a customer's being like, hey, I've got this offer, do you want to hear it out? Right, those are the two tasks that would actually get you to sales calls. And that's how we're going to reverse engineer everything, and we're going to go even more in depth with this later on in the video. And so I've actually done something pretty interesting with Claude AI here. So hopefully you can see this pretty well. But let's say you have the goal of 2K a month. You want to make that in 1 month, and you have a client that is worth 997. So every single time you pitch for 997, right? That's one client, 1K. Your close rate, this is a bad close rate, by the way. This should be like not normal when you're just starting out. 8% close rate, how many other calls you go on that you close, and then there's like the 65% show up rate. You don't need to think about that. That's just how many people show up to the call. And then booking rate is from the amount of messages you send, how many people will you get a call book with. It's very small, but 1%, right? That means if you send 154 outreach messages, like let's say on Instagram, you sent 154 DMs a day, know what it is you need to do. Every single day, you just need to sit down and send 154 messages. This is how to figure out what you need to do, right? You just need to figure out what is the goal, what task do I need to do, and how much of that task do I need to do. And so this is basically the idea of the 80 to 20 rule. And so you've been on self-improvement, so you probably know this, right? If you're going to the gym, you want to just, the 80 to 20 is probably training like hard and eating right. There's all the bullshit that you can do, but it's kind of a time waste, right? It's the same in business, right? I could be checking the comments, I could be replying to them, you know, I could be watching some new like YouTube video that came out about how to do something. But at the end of the day, the 80 to and it's taking the sales calls. And so we need to figure out what the best tasks to do are, because once you know that, you can just only do them and make a fuck ton of progress. And by the way, if you don't know what the 80 to 20 rule is, it's basically that 20% of your actions bring 80% of results, whereas the other 80% of your actions only bring 20% of results. So we want to find the 20% of actions that give like 80% of results. And so for the business that you're going into, which is obviously like content, you know, coaching people, helping them that way, there are two things, and there are other tasks that you can do to like get them right. So obviously sales calls is a task itself, but what can you do to become better on a sales call? Well, you can write down your sales scripts and try to memorize it. That way you can sit in front of the mirror and practice your sales script so you can remember it fully. You can do like mocks, you know, role play calls where you, let's say you have a friend or somebody in the Discord server who does it with you, where it's like they act like the customer and then you try and pitch to them and improve that way. And then you can maybe get somebody to you know, review your calls, and that way you can improve at sales calls. So now you know all the tasks you need to do to sell. But then how do you get the calls booked? Well, you do that through making videos, whether that be on Instagram, YouTube, or both of them, just like I'm kind of doing right now, you know. And then you can also do outreach on school or whatever platform it is, right? Now you have all the tasks you need to do. So now you know exactly what it is you need to do. Now you just need to know how to do it. Practice makes perfect, man. If you want to make it a base instinct, like something that is like swerving around the cat when you're driving, you will need to do it 1,000 times. And so this is a pretty interesting mindset, but right now you're probably thinking about getting the sale on the sales call or making the money or getting to the 2K a month. But instead, just like here, we reverse engineered the goal. And so instead of thinking about the goal, we think about the task that we need to do to get to the goal. You need to be thinking about the reps, you know, the task that needs to be done, and not the goal, right? Because here you need to not care for the result but for the reps. So instead of thinking, oh, I need to close this, oh, I didn't close the sale, right? Instead you just be thinking, yes, that's another rep, just get to 1,000 reps. And I did the same thing when I had, like, you know, when I just started this out, I was like, if I hop on 100 sales calls, there is no way I don't just close one of them. Now I closed one already within like the 20th one, which is a pretty bad rate. Like, you can get it quicker than me if I'm honest with you. But the idea is just that I was detached away from whether they're gonna buy or not. I was thinking about getting the rep in, doing another one so I could be better on the next one. And so instead of focusing on the goal, like the material shit, I was focused on mastery, actually improving, and that's what you need to do. And the thing is, making it a base instinct will take a fuck ton of time. Like, it will only come after 1,000 times of doing it. And so we need to do something first, you know, before we can actually get it to the base instinct, which is going to be building the habit. And the thing is, before I go on about how to build the habit, I've actually got a free course. You can like check it out in the description. There's like a free community in there, a lot of guys doing content, and it's basically a course on how to build the habit. Like, do it for the first 30 days, literally a video every single day, holding you accountable to make content and actually, you know, get this business started, right? So you can have that, no like credit cards, you know, no shit. I'm not trying to pitch you anything here. It's like a free course. You can check it out. But yeah, let's go on to how to create the habit. And a habit is created through, or a habit is basically a trigger, action, and a reward. So let's have a bad habit, right? You know, eating chocolate. You see it in the kitchen, and that's like the trigger. You know, you see the chocolate, and you're like, you know, I could go for that chocolate, right? The action is eating the chocolate, and the reward is feeling good while you're eating the chocolate. And I guess you feel shit after, so maybe this is not perfect for it. But that's how habits work, right? And so the first thing you need to do to make it second nature is to just create a habit for it, because before it can become second nature, instinctual too, you need to have it like a habit, you know, kind of like brushing your teeth. So the way that I've done this is, the trigger for me is waking up. So I do, let's say it is booking calls, right? It's cold outreach, it's doing the DMs or making a video. I do that first thing after waking up. So literally the trigger is to just wake up, and instantly I'm thinking I need to send DMs. Then obviously the action is doing the cold outreach. And then the reward, it shouldn't be destructive. You've probably heard like the quote of, don't celebrate what you got through prayer in sin. So it's not like, you know, you go and doom scroll for 3 hours after you've done it. That would be like, you know, destruction to what you've just done. But for me, you know, I like drinking raspberry juice, so I'll like sit outside in the sun and have a cup of that, right? So that could be my reward. And you obviously can make this for yourself. And that's like creating kind of like a ritual around doing the work. And by making a reward after, you also make it more enjoyable. But creating the habit is one thing, and then there is actually sustaining it, because that's the harder thing, right? You know, you need to keep going for it. And the way that we do this is through a habit tracker. Now, you've obviously been on self-improvement for quite some time, so you probably know what a habit tracker is, but I'm going to explain it anyway for people who are new, and also how you can use it for your business, because obviously this habit tracker is in Danish because I'm Danish, but back then I only used to do it for self-improvement, apparently. Like, I don't know why. I didn't do it for my business, because here, literally, it only says train, meditate, read, wake up at 6 a.m, Bible and journal. Like, I didn't have any work tasks on here, and that is genuinely life changing. So instead, you could have 100 DMs, 5 Instagram reels, 1 YouTube video, um, practice sales call, do you know, role play calls with the sales call, right? Those could be the tasks that you need to do daily. And then you want to create a streak, right? You know, you do it for the first day when you're creating the habit. You know, you do this for the first time, that's all good. And now you've been doing it for 5 days. What you want to do is pressure your mental health. And this is probably going to be like, oh yeah, no, that's we've been building up our mental health. You want to endure pain in business, right? I know you've been on self-improvement, you've proved your mental health and all that shit. This is not pressuring your mental health in a bad way, I wouldn't say so, because it's like, you know, the pain of progress is good in a way. Just like when you're taking your set, right, you know, in the gym, it's pain, but it's good pain, right? You know, it feels good, and you know that it's going to bring you a benefit in the long run, right? And this is kind of the same thing. So what we do to pressure your mental health is that, let's say you've got a streak of 5 days, you've sent 100 DMs for 5 days, you start identifying with that. Kind of like those people who, you know, they go to rehab for like drinking problems, but now they associate themselves with, so literally when they go and introduce themselves to you, they'll be like, hey, my name is Michael and I've been sober for 500 days. He now identifies with a person who's been sober for 500 days. So what if you identify as the guy who's done cold DMs, 100 of them every single day for 5 days? Now you suddenly don't want to miss on the 6th day, because then if you met him again tomorrow and he asks you, oh, how's the cold DMs going? And you say, I've lost my streak. That wouldn't feel too good, would it? So you basically want to put pressure on your mental health by identifying with the task, you know, identifying with the work that you've already put in, and that will like propel you to keep doing it. Kind of like the alcoholic, right? You know, they wouldn't want to go on and say, oh, I'm on day 0 again. Or a no-fap coach. I mean, it wouldn't really take away all their credibility, but at least some of it, right? You know, a no-fap coach saying, oh yeah, I was on streak 500 and now I'm 0. They wouldn't want to lose that 500-day streak, so they just keep going, right? That's exactly what you want to do to sustain the habit, because only after you sustain the habit for like a month, which is also what like the free course I was talking about will probably help you do, because I'll be shouting at you every day telling you to do the work. It would also set you up, you know, sustain the habit for 30 days. It will set you up to making the work second nature, which is what we wanted all together, right? So basically, what does it take to make it second nature? Like I said before, doing it 1,000 times, it's endless reps. And yeah, that's literally it, man. Making it second nature is just doing it a fuck ton. And also, maybe you'll find it boring, you know, maybe the habit tracker won't keep bringing you stimulation. So what you do is that you make everything else boring. And a lot of people say they do this, but they're coping, right? You know, they'll say, oh yeah, if I don't do the work, I'll be staring into the wall, but then they end up just scrolling on TikTok instead. That's cope. What you want to do is to make everything else in the work boring. So let's say you sit down to work and you tell yourself, if I don't want to work, sure, you know, I don't need to send the cold DMs, but there is one but, and that thing is that the thing that I'm going to be doing if I don't want to send the DMs is I'm going to be looking into the wall. So right now, you know, just above, you know, my computer, I have a wall. So I'd just be sitting like this. And the thing is, that is pure boredom. Like, there's no stimulation from looking into the wall. It's just you and your thoughts. And so obviously, clicking the keyboard, fucking typing the cold DMs on your phone, it'll be more stimulation. So you'd want to do it instead. And you see how this works, right? Because you've made your rest of your day completely boring, The work now seems fun compared to the rest of your day. And so now you'd rather want to do the work because at least it's more stimulating than your rest of your boring day. And that's how you make it more stimulating. And one more thing you can do is obsession. And this is going to be crazy, but basically you align your entire life not to, like, literally to your goal, and not just the goal but more so the tasks, right? Because a lot of us, if you're like me, we're obsessed about, making fuck ton of money, buying the crazy car, proving all the haters wrong, being in the edits, all that shit, right? We all want to do all that jazz. But the thing is, how do I say it? It's not the same, because it's not like driving you to take action. When you're thinking about, oh yeah, I'm going to become successful, I'm going to be this guy, I'm going to wear that watch, I'm going to dress this way, I'm going to have all the women around me, all the respect from the other guys, that doesn't really drive action, because it's not related to the task that you actually need to do to become that person. It's just thinking about the state you're going to be in when you're rich, right? So, and this is going to sound so gay, but imagine that instead of that, you obsessed over the task. Imagine that you obsessed over sending cold Instagram DMs. And I know it sounds fucked up, right? But imagine that, when you're sitting there and you're just thinking, all you're thinking about is sending DMs. Like, you obsess over that. You'll think it's so fucking weird and people will call you a psycho for it. But obsessing over the task will drive you to do that task more, because you're constantly thinking about it. You're obsessing over it. That's all you think about. So therefore you'll take more action, and it actually drives action compared to thinking about locking in and how you're going to be at that point. So align your life to the tasks, not the goal. We reverse engineered the goal to find the tasks. So it'll be these tasks. Align your life to these tasks. Sales calls and booking calls with all these things you need to do for each one of them. And just obsess over, not the goal. Remember, don't obsess over the goal. Obsess over the sales calls and the call book, like the task themselves. You need to obsess over that. And once you get called by psycho and a weirdo by everybody else, then you've done it right, my friend. You really have. And yeah, again, if you are serious about this, and you want to build a habit, sustain it for a month, and actually learn how to like be on camera and shit, then check out the free protocol in the description. It's like already I think 150 people have gone through it in the community. It's pretty cool, completely free, no credit card, no nothing. I'm not trying to pitch you anything, but yeah, you'll get a video from me every single day for 28 days. What video to make, me holding you accountable, giving you productivity tips as well. So yeah, check it out if you're really serious about getting this business started. Alright man, that's it. Put one foot in front of the other.